Hi, I'm Lex. I'm a British Skin Foundation ambassador and I have rosacea. The things that I wish people knew about rosacea. There are different types of rosacea and everybody's presents differently. No one case is the same as the next. It's not just blushing. People assume that we're drunks. People see the flushed cheeks, the red nose, and assume that we have a drinking problem. People often ask us if we're sunburned. No, I'm not contagious. It can be a painful and frustrating condition to live with. But it's not just physical. Having rosacea can have psychological effects as well as physical ones. It can affect your social life and therefore your relationships. It can affect your work, and it can have a devastating impact on your self-esteem. Your rosacea is not the most important or interesting thing about you. Some people may think that a little bit of blushing can be quite cute or pretty, but actually the symptoms of rosacea can vary from itching, swelling, burning. Those with skin conditions are at an increased risk of anxiety and depression. So it's never just a case of your skin being a bit red. There are different types of rosacea and everybody's presents differently. My redness is focused on my cheeks and on this side of my forehead, whereas some people's is all over their face, just on their nose. No one case is the same as the next. My most embarrassing rosacea moment. When I was about 22, I was at work and I was talking to my boss, and my colleague sat next to me, turned to me and said, "You've gone really red, do you fancy him?" Right in front of my boss. It was so humiliating, and obviously because he pointed out that I was red and everyone turned around to stare at me, I went more red. Do I ever feel in a low mood because of my rosacea? Yes. I went through a period of being really upset about it. I had a lot of woe is me, why me kind of moments. When I was first diagnosed, I didn't take it very well. I was 21, I was at university. I had never had any problems with my skin before. I didn't understand why this had happened to me and that there was no cure and that I was potentially looking at 70 years of a face that I didn't recognize. Over time, I've learned to deal with my rosacea. I now have it mostly under control. I know what works for me and what definitely doesn't work for me, but it can still be hard to deal with an incurable skin condition. I sometimes look at friends who are wearing no makeup and have absolutely wonderful skin and feel incredibly jealous. I feel frustrated when I want to just quickly nip out for an afternoon with my husband and I feel like I still have to put on makeup to give myself confidence. If I'm having a bad rosacea day, it's not something that I can forget. Even if I cover it with makeup like I have today, I can still feel the pulsing, the burning. It's constantly on my mind. I don't think there's an hour that goes past in my day that I'm not aware of my rosacea or thinking about it or worrying about it. And that can be pretty exhausting. But it's important to remember that rosacea does not define you. Your rosacea is not the most important or interesting thing about you. Nobody is as critical of you as you are of yourself. I try to think what I would say to a friend if they came to me with my concerns. Although I have very supportive family and friends, it's hard for people who don't have a skin condition to understand what it's like to live with it day to day. One of the best things I can recommend for you is finding other people who know what it feels like to have rosacea. Whether that's Googling, finding blogs, finding forums, finding Facebook groups. When I was first diagnosed with rosacea, I had no idea what it is. I'd never even heard the word. So I did what I do with everything. I went home and Googled and read everything I could about it. And it's really helpful to find people who have tried things, who definitely can advise what not to do. But I think the most important thing is just having people there that you can talk to. A lot of the time when I go on the internet and talk to people that I know with rosacea, I'm not asking for advice. I'm not there to discuss a certain product. I'm just there to say, I'm having a really, really bad day. And people instantly reply and say, this is where I was yesterday, or I had a really bad day last week. It will pass. We know what you're going through. Yes, it's horrible, but there have been horrible days before, and you're still here. So you've just been diagnosed with rosacea. Here are my tips. The biggest tip I can give you is to find your triggers. This can seem like a really daunting, overwhelming task because the list of things that could potentially trigger rosacea is enormous, and a lot of them are things that you probably wouldn't think of. I would recommend keeping a diary. So I would write down when I had a flare-up, how long it lasted, how severe it was, how it felt, how it looked, because flare-ups can differ from day to day. I would then try and make a note of everything that I could think of that could potentially have caused that flare-up. So the main triggers are stress, food, alcohol, extremes of temperature, hot drinks, all the fun things basically. Once you've identified your triggers, try to think of things that you may not have considered. I noticed that I would get flare-ups if I hadn't slept very well. Think about your hormones, air conditioning, and contact with the skin. So even if I'm using products that are absolutely fine for me and don't trigger any kind of reaction with me, just the action of me touching my face is enough for my rosacea to flare up. Once you have found your triggers, you can begin to eliminate them or work around them. I think this is the point that a lot of people get discouraged, because they see a list of things that they should avoid if they have rosacea, and they just feel like, well, what am I allowed to eat? What can I do? When I was a 21-year-old at university, trying to have fun, trying to make new friends, a doctor telling me that I couldn't drink, I should get 8 hours of sleep a night, I should have a great diet, I should avoid stress, I should never use hair straighteners, you know, the list goes on. And for some people, it's just not feasible. I found that the best way to work around my rosacea is to bargain with it. So if I've had an absolutely terrible day, all I want is a gigantic slab of cheese and a big glass of wine. I know that my skin's going to hate it, but I'm willing to deal with the consequences, because in that moment, my need for cheese and wine is bigger than how I feel about my rosacea. And for each person, those bargaining chips will be different. For some people, they won't be able to give up marathon running. For some people, they won't be able to give up really hot baths. That's totally different depending on the person. For some people, they're completely fine with going teetotal, having, you know, a raw juice diet or whatever. It's completely individual to you, and it's about what you are willing to put up with in order to make your skin happy. Another thing that is good to remember is not to try to remove all of your triggers at once. This is like someone making a New Year's resolution to give up alcohol, smoking, and start going to the gym all in the same week. If you remove things one at a time, it's also easier to see the impact that it has on your skin. If you removed alcohol, certain foods, and exercise all from your skin in the same week, and your skin started looking loads better, how would you know which of those things was the worst for you? So by removing your triggers one by one, not only does it make it more manageable for you, but it also means that you can better pinpoint exactly what is triggering your rosacea. One of my biggest tips for confidence with rosacea is makeup. And I know that a lot of people either don't want to wear makeup, can't wear makeup, or don't have the confidence to wear makeup, but personally I find it really helpful. It's the thing that allows me to go out in the day looking on the outside how I feel on the inside. It gives me the confidence to go to business meetings, it gave me the confidence to put myself out there when I was dating. And there are so many different products out there. You can go from a full coverage face like I'm wearing today, which some people find a little bit intimidating, or you can just go for some color correcting products that lightly tone down the redness to make it look a little bit more neutralized and natural. And those kind of products are ones that men can wear as well as women. I get a lot of men contacting me, asking me what products they can buy that will tone down their redness, that won't look like they're wearing makeup. And there are lots. Color correcting products and really light BB creams or tinted moisturizers can work incredibly well for men and for women who don't really like the feel of heavy makeup. I would also recommend getting in touch with some skin camouflage charities. They can not only offer the products, but they can also offer training on how to apply them if you don't have the confidence.